Test, 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 test. Test, test, test. Test, test, test. Hello? We're almost ready. What's going on out there? Fix my mic. I don't want it in the shot though. How you guys feeling? What's going on out there? Things looking a little gloomy. Or maybe not. Do we pump from here? Do we go to new all-time highs? Don't know. We don't know. Let's see. Oh, we got a few people in here. All right. Yeah, I should do this every live stream. You know, start it up. You know, a few minutes early, you know, get it warmed up, juice is flowing, let people trickle in, and we can have a conversation. Ooh. For those that are in my Discord, know exactly where I stand in the markets. I probably have the lowest exposure I have to crypto in a long time. I'd say in years. It's been years. I don't know. It's just, I'm not saying that we can't go higher. And I am prepared for that. I am still properly allocated at the minimum to, at the very least, subside any feelings of FOMO, any feelings of, you know, knee-jerk emotional reactions where like, oh crap, I was wrong. And see, that's where a lot of mistakes happen when people invest. It's either all or nothing, completely in or completely out, black or white. But no, we all live in that gray area. Whether you like it or not, whether you try to or not, you're part of the game. Even if you're in cash, all cash, you're still a part of the game. You're still a player in the game. But yeah, that gray area, that's where things get murky. That's where things get uncertain. Because we all want certainty, right? Especially when it comes to investing. You want to be certain the price goes higher. You want to be certain that you sell the top. You want to be certain that you buy the bottom. Doesn't everybody want that? But if you think about it, the only people that actually sell the Pico top, that sell the exact top, it's very few people. I mean, by design, right? Because there's only a certain amount of liquidity at that Pico top price, right? There's only a little bit of liquidity, and then that distribution evens out of supply and demand. That's where it evens out. That's where it teeters. So only like a few get a little nip, get a little taste of that top as they sell, right? So it makes no sense if everybody wants to sell the top, because then it just doesn't become the top. That means if everybody sold the top, that means there has to be enough liquidity to satisfy that order of everybody getting out at the top. And if that's the case, then that's not the top, because it's getting all bought up. So we have to shift our mindset from that black and white, all in, all out, win or lose. That's like gambling mentality. You know, you're thinking about gambling. You're thinking about rolling that dice, trying to hit it big, trying to make it all in one trade, lever up, go for that home run hit. Sometimes you hit home runs, yeah, it's very possible. But you have to stay alive in the markets long enough to hit those home runs. And those home runs aren't all in anyways. You're not all in anyways if you're trading properly, investing properly. But I think that's kind of the message, and that's kind of like the overall consensus, especially in the younger generation of traders and investors. They're playing these, playing high risk, high leverage, 0 DTE options, just straight up gambling. Poly markets, all that crap. It's all designed to take your money. That's all it is. And you guys see me. I don't mess with any of that shit. I'll mess with some 0 DTE, SPX, S&P 500 options, but that's about the extent of it. But yeah, for the most part, you got to stay vested in the markets at all times. You should always be exposed to the markets, because I don't care who you are. Nobody can time the market consistently for long periods of time. You eventually will slip up. If you're that type of person that likes to go all in and then all out, all in, all out, buy the bottom, buy the top, yeah, you might be doing it for a little bit. Might feel like you're on top of the world. You're like, oh, I got this game. I know exactly what to do. I'm the man. Killing it in the markets. And eventually it catches up. Eventually it catches up to you. And eventually you miss that bottom tick buy. And then you get left behind, having to buy, and usually it happens when it's very volatile. You miss that buy at the bottom, rips back up to new highs, and it just goes higher and higher and higher, and you just miss the whole move. That's the worst. I don't know the exact data on it, but it goes around something about, if you miss the top 5 highest percentage days throughout I think a 20-year period, you will underperform the market. And by market, I mean like the index, right? What we judge the overall market off of, right? And in crypto, what is it? Bitcoin, right? We judge it off Bitcoin. And if you can't beat Bitcoin, then what is the point? Honestly, what's the point? If you can't beat, Bitcoin, what is the point? So you always want to have some exposure, especially in times like these, when things are a little choppy, when things are uncertain. We're at these price range, at these heightened prices, where you look over that cliff, you look at how far we've come, and you're like, holy shit. If we fall all the way back down there, I'm fucked, right? I did all this for nothing. That's what everyone's thinking right now. I imagine everybody that's vested in crypto, they're looking at each other like, making sure, watching the big players, making sure no one starts creeping to the exit door, looking to exit the markets, right? Because that creates that stampede, right? The herd mentality. They start looking and watching. I think everyone's in that nervous state right now. That's where everybody is right now. That's the state of the market, and you could feel it. You could feel it in the markets. You kind of feel people are coping, or just putting out, maybe, you see them posting on X, posting about, we're going to new all-time highs. That was the bottom. Those big liquidations that happened a couple weeks ago, that was the bottom. There's no more sellers. I just feel like it's kind of coping, or it's those are the people that are very nervous, and like they felt like they just missed getting cut by that knife, and now they're just trying to like, hey guys, come on, you can buy now. Let's send this higher. Let's get out of this. Let's get out of this funk. That's where I kind of feel like we are right now. And, I did say that this is my smallest amount of crypto exposure I've had in years. Oops, sorry. For those that have been around my Discord, saw me call the bull market in January of 2023. I was hedged in my liquidity pools. I was running delta hedge strategies, just trying to extract yield without having much market exposure, delta exposure. But in January 2023, I unlocked those hedges. And I said, this is it. This is the bull run. It's starting. And look where we are now. Almost 3 years later. And now I'm here with saying that, this is my lowest crypto exposure in a long time. And I'd say years. Definitely multiple years. But that doesn't mean we're going lower. That doesn't mean we're going to crash. Because, I'll tell you firsthand, I don't know shit. I don't know anything. Yeah, I got a good performance track record. I post it all. I show proof. One of the few in the space, especially in concentrated liquidity, that shows all their performance. I mean, I'm not going to brag about it, but I'm just saying. I'm just in the boat of, I would rather be a little bit underexposed right now than full port long. Because in the markets are designed to take your money. They're designed to extract. It's not a wealth building tool. Hold on. Sorry, I was rudely interrupted by my kid. But like I said, I don't know where it's going. So if it goes higher from here, perfectly fine. And I will not have FOMO. I will not be like flipping and saying, oh shit, I was wrong, going all in, right? if the market breaks out to new highs. That's not how I work. Now, this is not something that I learned, since I started trading. A lot of years of pain. So I just want to impart this knowledge to you guys, to have you think in this way, to avoid all the pitfalls and headaches of making these mistakes, losing money, thinking the market's a scam, and most end up quitting. Most can't handle the pain, right? And yeah, like I said, the markets are there to extract money, so it makes it very difficult for newer investors, for newer traders. There's a lot of body bags from people trying to make it in the markets. So I want to make it easier, at least help show you the path, and then you could kind of think in that mindset of, okay, the market's not about winning or losing, buying the bottom, selling the top, in or out, gambling, right? You could just loop that all into gambling. You got to think about it as looking for opportunities to hold assets. Finding opportunities based on your criteria, whatever your strategy is. I don't care if you look at the stars, I don't care if you look at the moon phases, whatever it is. Any strategy, I'd say 99.9% of strategies out there, they work. They actually do work. The problem is us. Even my homie Leonidas will agree. We are our own worst enemy. We fuck it up. You deviate from the strategy. You think you're smarter. You think you know better. You think you know what you're doing. You see the strategy say this, but you're like, you know what? No. You know what? Fuck that. I'm gonna do that. And then that's where you screw up. You screw up once. Take a loss. Try to make it back. Double up on size. Lose even more. And then you see how that snowballs into something crazy and ends up destroying your account. And this is the type of market that will do that. I posted about time capitulation. There's not only price capitulation in markets. People think that people capitulate based on price only. No. People can also capitulate on time. If things take too long. The stock market is ripping and roaring seemingly every day to new all-time highs. It just hit a new all-time high today. So those that get impatient, they're looking at their crypto. Maybe they just hold Bitcoin, make it easy. It's not doing anything. Bitcoin has been literally sideways for a year. Done nothing. Most people, especially at this day and age, will capitulate. They'll say, you know what, fuck this. This Bitcoin is not moving. I'll jump back in when it runs. That's usually too late. So like cash out. And now you can buy Bitcoin on your brokerage, right? So you don't even have to cash out your crypto, send it to Coinbase, right? Cash out to your bank, send it to your brokerage. You could trade it right on your brokerage now. So they just sell it. And they go chase the small caps that are running the stocks, the play of the day. And most of them end up losing. Keep losing. They're chasing that shiny object. They're looking for the riches to get rich quick. So how do you avoid that, right? You can't. You cannot avoid it. See, investors, traders, They're like sharks underwater. Like that Jack Schwager quote. Like sharks underwater. And underwater is a metaphor for being in a drawdown. And you could be underwater for long periods of time, waiting for that prey, waiting for that catch, waiting for that opportunity. Could take a while. But when it comes, it's amazing. But yeah, look at the price. Done nothing. Even the past couple of months, we've done pretty much nothing. Back in August, I was selling. I've been selling through October. And now, I'm over 70% in stables. Maybe more, maybe 80% stabled up. I still have exposure though. And I'm okay if we go blast to all time. I don't care if it's one God candlestick on Ethereum to 10K. Fine. It is what it is, right? At least I rode the ride a bit, right? A little bit. That's my thinking. You got to hedge out, mitigate the outlier possibilities. That's how you position. You got to think of yourself as the commander of your liquidity, commander of your dollars, of your crypto. What are you going to do with it? What is the right move? Well, right now they're all stabled up. They're like my soldiers. They're all in their barracks. They're taking time off. They're on leave, vacation, partying it up, enjoying life, waiting for the next mission. Some people don't understand this concept, so they keep pressing and pushing their soldiers, mission after mission, never taking a step back and analyzing the battleground, the battlefield. What is the right move? Like my boy here. That's why I got him up. We got to command our soldiers. We got to make sure we do right by them. Because they trust you, right? It's your army of liquidity. Oof. Like you really have to think about it this way. Like I said, the markets are designed. They're designed to take your money away. They're designed to extract. It's not like a I don't know what, like a get rich quick tool, you know, like, oh yeah, put your money in, make money, right? No. It ain't that easy. And there's ways to go about it. There's ways to hedge out that outcome of losing. Either A, through time, right? Stay vested long enough to eventually profit, which is the easiest, but also the hardest, because you will weather some drawdowns. Because you're stay invested. You're not trading, you're just using time. You say, you know what, I'll just let time work in my favor. You understand that assets inflate over time. Fiat currency deflates or devalues over time. So, as basic as that is, that's what makes the market move up. So you just wait. So that's one way, time. Another way is strategy. Having a strategy, following that strategy to a T. Like I said, 99.9% of strategies work. But those that, because eventually all strategies, that's another thing. All strategies eventually go through rough patches. They don't work 100% of the time. So either A, you run one strategy and you understand there will be times where you will have difficulties making money out of the market. Like right now. Like for me, I'm not making much. I'm just sitting back waiting. The majority of my profits came when I was buying all the way down into the depths of the bear in April and then rode it all the way up into August. That was my play. Now I just wait. I'm waiting. Even if I put on positions right now, they're not going to earn much in liquidity pools. So now I wait for opportunities for the market to show me what I should do. So either A, yeah, you run that strategy, you follow that strategy, you stick with it, you follow the rules, you will do well in the long run. I don't care what strategy it is. As long as it's a valid strategy, it works. You just can't get in your own head and fuck it up, right? That's where all the issues come from. Like they said, the best performing portfolios are from dead people. People that are not alive. Why is that? Why do they perform the best? Why do they have the best performing portfolios? Because they don't touch it. Obviously they can't. They're dead. Right? They're gone. So the gains just compound and it just grows and grows and grows, and there you go. But for some reason we love to fiddle with shit, micromanage, thinking we know better, thinking we could take a shortcut. I still fall victim to that too. Sometimes I'm thinking, oh, you know what? I could probably take a little shortcut here. I could probably like, take this side quest, hit that gain. Oh, we got a comment here. I think from Anita, I think we are doomed. Woo! Why do you think that? You think this is the end? You think this is the top? Do you think we're going to crash? Bull market over? Put your thoughts. So yeah, this is, bull markets are the toughest to make money in. Believe it or not, they are the toughest to make money in. People think the bull markets are so easy to make money. They can be if you understand your strategy and stick with it, right? They can be. But the problem is that prices keep going higher and higher and higher. And eventually it gets so high where people's tolerances are different, right? Everybody's constantly looking over that cliff of price. Bitcoin, 120K. Ethereum right now, 4,100. You look and you're like, oh man, all-time highs is just right there. The top of the mountain. Or maybe it is the top. Or maybe we don't know. The cloud is kind of blocking the top. So I'm not sure if that's the top. But such a small way away. But then you look down over the cliff and you see how far you come. And you get excited. You're like, wow, that's amazing. But then you look, you're like, holy shit, if I were to fall off this mountain, that's a long drop. And some people are just say, you know what? I'm done. This is good enough. They pull out, hit the parachute, call a rescue helicopter, take me out of here. Which is fine, as long as they're happy with that. But it's getting to the point where it's getting very tough to put on new positions and to put it on with significant amount of risk. Because, especially in crypto, we just saw a couple weeks ago how violent the volatility can get. Bitcoin just had to remind everybody. Everybody was getting a little too comfortable. 2% day here, 5% day there, 1% day most days, 1%. People got used to it. People got lulled to sleep. People forget. People have short-term memory. And then that big, what was it, 20%, 30, almost 30% from the top, 26, 25%, whatever, plus in hours. Gone. Like that. Bitcoin just had to remind everybody. People think it's old, Bitcoin is old, it doesn't have it in her anymore, but nope. It can still show you what's up. It can still show you there's volatility. People tend to think in very short time frames. Like, you look at a chart, right? You look at a stock like, say, Johnson & Johnson, right? Been around for multiple decades, maybe even a century, if I'm not mistaken. In the beginning, it was a growth stock. That was back in when they had paper issuance and the old days. But it was still volatile. And it takes a very long time, because today, right now, it's just like a dividend stock. It doesn't move much, right? It's matured. It's a mature stock. It doesn't move like Bitcoin anymore, but it did in its early days. And people tend to think like Bitcoin is done with its volatility. They're like, oh, the big hedge funds are in, the institutions, right? Everybody's buying, Wall Street's buying, so that's it. Prices don't swing this way anymore like they used to. Well, maybe not exactly like it used to, but it's still there. So Anita said, I think we are doomed. I might keep buying after 2 months from now. After the crash, there are 2 indicators showing Bitcoin topped. Forgot what it is. A lot of contradicting comments there, but I'm not here to tell you you're wrong or you're right. We don't know. But like I said earlier, I wouldn't think in absolutes. I wouldn't think or position in a way where you're fully out and vulnerable, because there is also risk to the upside. People only think about risk to the downside, something crashing. They're like, oh yeah, I want to avoid that. But what they don't think about is there is risk to the upside too. You missing the move, you being too underexposed for the ride back up. What will happen? You got to play that scenario in your head. You got to think, if the market rips higher, am I prone to FOMO? That's where the self-reflection comes in. You have to be very honest with yourself. Will I be prone to FOMO? If the answer is yes, and you're like, oh my God, I wouldn't even be exposed to any of it, you might want to have some exposure. Not so small to where if you buy some right now and price drops 30-40%, you're just looking at the market, it's like, you feel nothing, right? Then that means you're still underexposed. Because the opposite and equal reaction, like, was it Newton's law, right? Opposite and equal reaction of the price ripping higher. You're not going to be calm and cool and collected. You're like, shit, I'm not exposed enough. And then you FOMO in. And usually that's the top. Then it crashes back down, and then you get scared, capitulate. You're like, oh my God, market's a scam. So instead, you want to have enough exposure to where if the market does draw down, it's going to sting. You're going to be like, ah, man, how much it stings is up to you. How much you want it to sting is up to you, but it's got to sting. It's going to have just enough. It's going to make you bleed a little bit. You have to bleed a little bit. You have to get a little hurt when that price goes down. Because equal and opposite reaction. When the price goes up, you're making money and you're like, okay, I'm good. This is good. And you're like, you have no FOMO. That's the balance you need. That's where you need to find that balance. So you could look at this, at these comments, you know, you're looking for a crash in 2 months from now. You don't give a shit. Okay, go ahead and crash. I would actually like a crash because I'm probably 80%, about 80% in stables right now. And if the market crashed, I could fill some nice bids, have some liquidity pools set up, pump out some high yields, accumulate, get back on this rodeo, get back on the bull. But if the market continues higher, yeah, I don't have the same exposure I did, but you know, I'm not FOMOing in. So that's how we have to think. And if you position in that way, all right, see ya. Good talk. But if we position in that way, you remove 90% of the guesswork. Because you're just indifferent to the outcome. Up or down, or sideways. Doesn't matter. And if you use concentrate liquidity, the whole time you're generating those yields. Bam! Just printing those yields day in, day out. 24/7, 365. You don't want to betray your army. Because the moment you do, they will not have confidence in you. You're probably thinking like, wait, what? My army, my dollar is going to have... They don't even have a mind. They don't even have a brain. They're not even alive. It's just cold, hard cash or crypto. No, they don't. But that's just yourself reflecting off of them. So, in a way, they do have a mind of their own because you're projecting that onto them and they reflect that onto you, right? And it's just a vicious cycle. You want that vicious cycle to be good decisions. Every single decision properly thought out of what you want to do. So I'm going to go into what I think about the market. What I see in the charts. Let's start with Bitcoin here. I got my homie Pepe off to the side right here because he's lurking, man. He's lurking. He's just watching from the cut. But it's time to go away, Pepe. We gotta do a little work here and see what's going on in the markets. So I want to start with Bitcoin. Go right here. We got Bitcoin. What do I see? Let's start off with the monthly. I drew this prophecy right here. This is my prophecy where I think the best odds of where we're headed. That's all it is. But I'm still, if you're probably looking at this, well, damn, you think this is going to go to 86K on Bitcoin? I think there's high odds we do. But if not, I'm still properly positioned. So it's all good, baby. So looking at the monthly here, strong bull market, MACD still bullish, trending higher, market is up and to the right. Looks great. Monthly time frame looks great. But I don't like to rely solely on that. So we want to zoom in a little bit, because crypto moves fast. What do I see here? This past weekend was surprising. It even surprised me. Because we were hanging around down here. What was it, 110, 109? It was looking dire. I was getting very bearish. And the reason why? I've been bearish for some time. I've been bearish since we hit the top or the new high in Ethereum back in, like, what was it, August? I just been selling, right? I'm like, okay. I think this is where we're gonna hang around a bit and consolidate. Doesn't mean we're gonna crash. I didn't think we were gonna crash. I'm just thinking we're gonna consolidate. Now I want to find new opportunities to jump into. But this weekend, look at that. Recovered. Right back. I like to use the 10 SMA. It just shows strength in the trend, right? If it's above that SMA, it's just strength in the trend. That's all it shows me. There's some strength there. Over the past 10 weeks, the average price is 113,789. We're at 113,907, just barely above it. A couple $100, not even. So it's good. But what does the MACD say for me? I keep it super simple. MACD is showing is bearish. Now that doesn't mean the market's going to crash, right? What it just tells me is that the odds of us going higher and sustaining a rally higher is very low, right? Yes, we could pop in price and rip higher, but I think it gets quickly sold off. It just, I feel like on the weekly time frame here, sellers are in control. And weekly time frames, they take a while to play out, months to play out. So if this MACD wanted to start curling up and start showing me that we're going higher, that's going to take months. It's like a big, like the monthly time frame is like the largest ship, and ships are that large. When they're that large, they're very hard to steer and turn, right? They take a long time to move, right? On the weekly, a little bit faster, but still very slow. Take a long time to move. It could be months. So even if the market wants to rip higher to new all-time highs, like tomorrow, if it did it, when that happens, I want to start looking for opportunities. I want to look for opportunities to buy lower, because the odds are we come back down and get sold off, right? Looking at just back here a few weeks ago, when we hit new all-time highs, quickly sold off. MACD's bearish. But price has been pretty much sideways. Look at that. Beginning of the year. Or just like back in January, right? We're just right around those prices. So even though MACD is showing that it's bearish, trending down, there is strength. There is people still buying Bitcoin. So it's good. But I just don't think this is the time we hit new highs. So I'm not a buyer here. But I'm still positioned. That should be the key takeaway of this live stream. Just be positioned for both sides. That's it. Once you do that, you remove all the guesswork, you remove the emotions, and you're just all good. You're just like, you know what, whatever happens, happens. I'm positioned. I'm all good. So let's zoom in a little further. Let's see what the daily says. Looking at daily here. MACD is bullish. That's one thing I noticed. But look how far we've came. Look at that low. That was that, the liquidation Friday. 103,500. We hit 116. It's kind of a big move. Straight up. Pretty much straight up. You had this little wick day here. But still, strength all the way up. The rally might be getting a little long in the tooth. So why would I buy here? I missed the move. And honestly, I wasn't even interested in buying right here. All I saw was, okay, we broke this low. Going down here. Lower low. What do I want to see here? See, we're all doing this in real time. Like, I'm looking at this chart in real time. So I'm starting to see things now that I'm talking through it. And hopefully it helps you out. I want to see price come back down and create a higher low. That's it. That would be clue number one. It would show me, okay, buyers are starting to step in. Okay. Those that can seek out that first clue and see that when that happens, because it will happen eventually, whether if we do it here or if we break new lows, come higher and then make a higher low, whatever, it's going to happen eventually, whether it's now or it's later down the line. That's where you find your first clue. You're like, okay. Then you can make your moves. Put on some risk. But right now, not interested. MACD is bullish. Just turned bullish like a few days ago as we're ripping higher. But this move is a little long in the tooth. I think it needs time to consolidate. Let's see where that pullback goes, right? It's kind of like a choppy ocean right now. That's a perfect analogy because things are choppy. This will chop you up. People that are trading right now, trying to time the market with Bitcoin, they're getting chopped the fuck up. Most people are getting chopped up. I guarantee it. Most people are getting chopped up, not making much money. You're not going to make much money here. That's just the reality of it. You might get lucky, have a couple of wins. Yeah, maybe you hit it out of the park, but that's very few people will do that. Your odds of doing it, very low. You want to put high odds in your favor. You want to stack the odds in your favor. You want to have that powerful hand. You're like, okay, I got the odds stacked in my favor. It's time to bet big. When was that? That was in April. Back here. When the market was just, everyone was fearful, the market was drawing down, and then we see the first higher low. That's where you take your bets. So that time will come again. No reason to rush it. No reason to to force it, to FOMO. If you have FOMO right now, because after this weekend's action, right, this price move up, everybody's like, oh, the bottom's in. People live streaming, people on X, everyone calling for Ethereum new highs, when just a few months ago people were saying Ethereum was dead. When I don't know if you guys remember, but I distinctly remember the majority of people hated Ethereum at 1,300. They were just like, this thing is shit. It's slow. It has high gas fees, right? They were making every excuse in you name it. But all those excuses and all those reasons, that's all shit we already knew. It wasn't news. People just coping, capitulated, sold everything. They said, fuck it, I'm done. I can't handle it. Ethereum is a beast, and it's very hard to ride. But it's an altcoin. That's its nature. But now everybody's loving Ethereum. Majority of people love it, calling for new all-time highs, saying the bottom is in. Let's take a look. So, with Bitcoin, I am mixed. But I want to see what happens in the coming days. Do we make a higher low? We shall see. I want to see a higher low and a break of this high. That's what I want to see. Simple as that. That would build a base case, right? To put on some risk. So let's look at the Bitcoin dominance. This is one that I've been watching. Tends to sneak through a lot of radar. But this is very interesting now. A few weeks ago, I was talking about this bottom here. Everybody was calling for alt season. That's it. This Bitcoin dominance broke. Altcoins going to the moon. I'm like, that may be so, but we've been drawing down on the Bitcoin dominance since June. From June all the way down to September. That's a long time. This is a weekly chart. That's a long time. And then it started basing here. That's not good for altcoins. And I'm like, the odds are that it doesn't happen because this drawdown has been going on for months. It's a little long in the tooth. And it looks like it's bottoming for several weeks, for months. It was bottoming. Breaking higher. But look at it. It's been in this channel pretty much the entire bull run, right? Now it's broken below and it got rejected. So that's very interesting. Also, MACD is bearish here. It might cross higher, might cross bullish, but then if it rolls over, that's going to be key. And I want to see this start breaking below 58% to start thinking, okay, we may get an alt season if that happens. So, but this is a weekly chart. It's going to take time for it to play out. What does the daily look like? Daily is just neutral. Look at that. Flat MACD. No momentum either way. It did get rejected up here. That's a key. So it might be. So maybe Bitcoin is not the play. That doesn't mean it can't rip up higher to 60% and just screw everyone over one last time before the alt season comes. That could happen. So you got to be ready for that too. Always have exposure to Bitcoin. Never be all out of Bitcoin. If you're trading crypto, have some exposure to Bitcoin. At least 20%. Higher if you're more conservative. If you like less risk, you want a higher exposure to Bitcoin. But at least 20% if you're super degen. That will save your ass over the long term. I guarantee it. It will save your ass. Bitcoin's done like almost a 10x, like an 8 or 9x, whatever. You do an 8 or 9x on 20% of your portfolio. Just call it 10x on 20% of your portfolio. That's 200% gains in your portfolio. That ain't nothing to sneeze at. So always have exposure to Bitcoin. But look at this. That's interesting. We can't say what's going to happen now. It's just kind of consolidating here. It did reject. Does it try again? Or does it roll back over? So keep an eye on that with Bitcoin. So what does that mean? What does it mean if that's going to roll over? What's the play? Well, who's next in line? I mean, we all know It's Big Daddy ETH. Big Mama right here. Let's go. Let's start off in the monthly. I'm kind of like an Ethereum maxi. I'm always like, I know this I know this asset inside and out. I've been trading it for years. I just love how it moves. When it moves, it fucking moves. I just know that the drawdowns can be fucking painful. You get used to it over the years. You know, she's gonna hurt you, but then she'll bring the fire when it's ready. Let's see. Monthly chart. I've had these trend lines drawn forever. Not forever, but like at least a year, year and a half. This was the previous all-time high. This purple line. Or sorry, the previous top. Now we're just kind of hanging around there. Okay, interesting. MACD, bullish. Whoa, that's good. And it just turned bullish just a few months ago. Yes, I like that. That's a plus. Based on that alone, based on how young this trend is developing, I kind of want to start rotating more into Ethereum. But let's see what else it says. What else is it going to do? Let's look at the weekly. Weekly chart. Oof. First thing I look at, MACD. Yeah, it's a little long in the tooth, this rally. Look, from since May when it crossed. And then it just ripped higher and higher and higher. Look. You know, from May to October, that's several months. That's a long rally. It needs to rest. It needs to rest. So no, I don't want to put any more risk right now. As much as I do, and seeing that monthly chart, how beautiful it looks. Let's go back to it. Because I think what we fail to see is how far it can fall. How far can it draw down and still be bullish? It could draw down to like 2,300. 2,300 Ethereum price. It could draw down there and still be bullish. I would be buying heavy down there. So why would I buy now? Okay, maybe just have some. Or actually, I'd say you should have some just in case it wants to go higher. And if it does go higher, you want to sell some. So if it does, go higher, then you're situated. So that's a long ways down. So I am not an advocate for buying a full position right now. I just can't. I can't say that I would. No matter how great this chart looks. It does look great though. Let's look at the weekly. Again, bearish MACD. Okay, just crossed bearish too like a few weeks ago. That doesn't mean it's going to crash. That does not mean that. It just means that any rally would most likely get sold into. So what does that create? That just creates, at best, a choppy sideways market. So it's either choppy sideways or an actual crash. So I don't like those odds. I don't like that possibility of it being a high possibility. I don't like that high possibility of it happening. So we'll see here. All right, guys. is wrap this up. So we got the weekly here. Where would I buy? Well, let's see how far we can go and it'd still be bullish. You can see these wicks here on the weekly. It's showing there's interest, buyer interest, but it's kind of been at this horizontal line, like right below 4K, they've been buying, which is good. But the pressure, look at the pressure of the sellers. They're getting impatient. They're bringing their offers down. Somebody wants out. And by somebody, I just mean the market, right? Most people, most participants want out. So they're kind of getting impatient. Every time we hit and stop up here and make a lower high, people are like, ah, shit. Okay, let me bring my offers down. Okay, all right. Oh, damn, it rejected here. Bring it down. Oh, right here. Let's bring it down. Eventually, it'll get eaten away. That supply will get eaten away, and then you have that. If you have excess demand, then it'll push the price higher, right? But right now, there's just too much supply for the demand that's there. There's demand below 4K, but if these sellers come down to 4K and it's still overcoming the demand, then we go lower. Simple as that. And how do you predict that? You don't. You cannot predict that. All right, so that's the weekly. Does it make me a buyer? It's actually weak. It's under the 10 SMA, which shows weakness. But it's still a good trend. It just needs time. That's it. I'd say it needs time. Hopefully it hangs around here. But if we start getting below 3,500, I'm going to be a buyer. I'm going to start looking to set up concentrated liquidity pools in USDC wide to the lower range, looking to accumulate. You'll see it in my Discord. If you're not in my Discord, you got to join it because I always post in there. I post my market analysis and all that. What I'm doing, P&L, exactly what I'm doing. I show everything. So you'll see exactly what I'm doing. So there. I don't like that. So I'm not a buyer right now. What does the daily look like? Bullish MACD, but it's kind of been, it's made a lower low on this trend, this bearish trend here until late October or October 22nd, a few days ago. And it did turn a little bullish here, but I think it's just kind of like it's snaking, right? I cannot depend on this MACD. Tomorrow it could go back bearish, right? It's kind of like snaking. It's a choppy water. We're in Drake's Passage trying to get to Antarctica. The boat's just like crashing through these waves, and it's just unpredictable at best. It's above the 10 SMA, showing some strength, but I mean, look at this. It's above, it's below, it's above, below, above. Got rejected here, finally got above. Maybe it'll get below, pop back up, right? Choppy at best. Nothing's glaring at me to say, you know what? This thing is so oversold. Everybody's dumping. Everyone's scared like they were back here. Like, man, this thing came from, it broke like 4,100 or whatever up here. Came all the way down to 1,300. People capitulating. Finally saw some light here at this time. That's when I started putting on more leverage. That's what I want to see. So we're not there yet. So this could take a little bit longer. This could chop around a little bit. Get this weekly on our side. Consolidate. Maybe it consolidates down here to like 3,800, maybe 37, 35. Hold this level, right? Retest it. Hold that low right here, or even this low right here. What is that? 33.50. If it holds that, great. I'll be a buyer. If it doesn't, you know, I'll buy some here and then I'll buy more lower. That's how I think about it. I'll buy some here, start buying heavier as it goes lower. I don't want to buy my whole bag up here. But if it gets down there, I'm like, okay, that's a good spot. Let's add some, right? Deploy some of those soldiers. Send them on the mission. The special ops guys, just a small team. Like, all right, I need a recon over there. Let's go. I say, let's look in anything. Like, I'm going to look at Solana here, but anything beyond that, waste of time. It's a waste of time until Bitcoin figures out where it's moving. Because everything is controlled by Bitcoin. So Solana, where's the monthly at? It actually looks pretty good. Look, it was bearish back in March, this MACD. When it broke down here, when we hit 90 sub 100, when we were in the 90s, I was buying so heavy. I was buying down there. And look at that, bearish MACD. Finally pulled the MACD back to neutral. Look, it's actually like exactly neutral on the monthly. It's above the 10 SMA. Trend looks good. I mean, this thing could just pop and go. That's a good sign. And I think it has that ETF curse, but that's been going on for a couple months now. Hopefully that ends by early next year, and then we could get a grip here and finally get moving, right? People get more confident back in Solana. A lot of damage was done, not just on Solana itself. I'm just talking about like the ecosystem, you know, the pump fund, the memes, the degen shit, right? All that's gonna like wash out, and just like, you know, people have short-term memories. Like I said, they just gotta eventually forget about it, right? And say, okay, whatever, that was in the past. I think we're getting close to that though, so that looks good. What about the weekly? Yeah, it's crossing bearish, but it's the price it's kind of staying. I mean, it's just staying sideways. It's been sideways since March. Not doing much. Okay. Daily. You know, just kind of choppy at best. Honestly, like, I'd say probably just buy dips. Buy dips under anything under 200. If you're looking for Solana exposure, I think this is the play. I'm kind of thinking about putting on some more Solana exposure. I have some, but I'm probably gonna put on some more. I'm gonna probably set up some liquidity pools to buy the dip, maybe down to maybe 170. Put a small position on to add, and if it goes lower, you know, I'll be looking to buy lower. Go through that pain, underwater like a shark, all that jazz. But I'm kind of digging it, because it's not like Ethereum. It feels like it's just too high of a price at this point. Like it's had that rally since April, whereas, you know, Solana kind of just been chopping around here, right? So this is interesting, because if I put on some risk, this trend here, look, higher low, right here, you got this higher low, you got buyers here buying this up. I want to see a retest. That's why I'm saying below 200. A retest and hold. So there you go. That's it. That's the plan. Let's see Solana versus Ethereum. Which one's stronger? Yeah, it's kind of flat. Look at that. It's flat. Could be either or. Take your pick. I think Solana is a better play here. Sol BTC. kind of flat. You know, been flat since February. If it starts breaking higher, then it could actually be a better play than Bitcoin. Solana has been kind of like the horse in this race. That's been pretty much on par or outpacing Bitcoin at times. So, but yeah, that's the market analysis. I hope you guys enjoyed. We got a few people in the chat, but keep it simple. We want to make sure that we're not overexposing ourselves, getting too crazy. Analyze the battlefield. Deploy where you need to. If you have no exposure, or if you're trying to time the market, that's very tough. Very tough. You pretty much have to be lucky to get the bottom, to buy the bottom, to sell the top, and to do it over and over. It's kind of like being at the craps table. Eventually you're going to crap out. Either you're going to miss the bottom and then end up buying the top and then wipe out all the gains. Be demoralized because you spent all that time looking at charts, watching the shit 12 hours a day, sitting in your underpants, hoping to make all the riches. You know, you can spend that time elsewhere. Build a business, get better at your job, move up, get promoted. Do that. Let the market work for you, right? Stay positioned. And then when you see the opportunity, when you see a good opportunity that's skewed to one side, that's when you go in heavy. Take that trade. That could happen at any time. So, I'm going to end it there. I'm going to try to do these weekly. Or, I don't know about weekly. Got too much going on in life. But I'll try to do these often. And I think the advance notice helped a lot. You know, got people prepared and knowing that it's coming. Because sometimes every time I do a live stream, I just jump on. It's like, hello, I'm here. People like, oh shit, I missed it. I couldn't join. I didn't prepare. So, you know, so maybe I should do a day before, right? To get people extra time. You know, this time I did only like a few hours, like 4 hours. So yeah. All right, guys, take care. Remember, if you take anything away from this live stream, just be positioned. Both sides. There's risk to the upside as well as the downside. That's how you got to think. All right? That way you avoid 90% of the stress of trying to guess where the market's going. You don't even have to guess where it's going. You're already positioned for it, down or up. And you just earn those yields. If you're doing concentrated liquidity, you just earn those yields. If not, and you want to learn how, link in the description below. It's probably not filled right now. I'll drop it in there, or just look at my other videos. I have links to my Discord and tools that I use personally to get the best yields, to get position in the right pools. And, you know, definitely join the Discord, because that's where I post everything. Post all my positioning. So, all right, guys, I'm going to leave you with that. I'm going to go play some video games and then hit the sack. I don't even have my watch on. But, you know, this is the boring time in the market, you know. So don't get lulled to sleep. Don't capitulate. Don't time capitulate. Don't chase that shiny object. Yes, the stock market is running, but it doesn't mean you have to sell all your crypto to go chase it, right? Stop that behavior. It eventually puts you in ruins. The more you chase that shiny object. Because eventually when you catch it, you're going to be like, oh man, this thing's actually a piece of shit. Yeah, you might catch some of the shiny objects, but eventually you're going to catch that piece of shit that's going to lose all your money, all the profits, all the work you did, because you're chasing. Oh no no, what's this over here? Oh, let's go 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 go. Oh shit, we missed that opportunity. Go 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 go. Okay, we got that. What? Why live like that? Your soldiers will look at you and be like, man, what's this crazy motherfucker doing? Running around. He doesn't even know what he's doing. So, be like this guy, Leonidas. Fearless. Proper planning. And then execute. That's it. All right, guys. Take care. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.